and welcome back to the Book Beat. I'm Jean Noel Bassior, and joining me in studio is JOAN MORAN, and she is the author of 60, Sex, and Tango, Confessions of a Beatnik Boomer. So that's an intriguing title. Why you broke it into three parts? Is it each part 60, Sex, and Tango?
Yes, I have. First of all, thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're
I appreciate
welcome.
it, Noel. Three parts to the book, 60, 60, and then sex. And the last part is tango. So three sections.
And how do they fit together? Or
They fit together perfectly. This is not strictly a tango book. Whenever people pick it up, they think it's, I'm going to talk about Argentine tango, which is one of my passions. But actually, tango's a metaphor for my life. I consider it that part of the book, which is much more spiritual, much more zen, and then settling into authenticity and finding your passions. And also, one of my major themes in this is that retirement is not an option. So it's basically, people call it Act 3,
I think of retiring as kind of like you're going to put tires on a car, like retire it or something like that.
Someone said that to me once. I thought that was very clever. Yes. Well, we're not going to put new treads on. We have our treads.
Right. So you don't have any plans to retire, right?
There's no such thing.
Yeah.
I always say, what do you want to retire from life?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, we just keep pursuing whatever it is that makes us happy and fulfilled. So the actual concept for this book started when I was in my 60s. Well, I still am in my 60s, but the early part of it, and I was surprised by each decade has its own kind of fulfillment, and you have expectations and objectives. And when I was in my early 60s, I thought, wow, what's this about? Things were changing very quickly. My children were adult children. They're married. I became a grandmother, and I was pursuing the things that I wanted to. I became a yoga teacher at 60 years old.
And you had a background in screenwriting, right? Acting,
Right.
Screenwriting?
I ran a theater for years. My own, it was a professional theater that I co-founded, and I also was a screenwriter for 15 years.
Yeah, you graduated from the American Film Institute.
Yes,
right?
I did, as a producing fellow, and then I fell in love with screenwriting.
And so then you became a yoga teacher, right?
Yes. I had always loved yoga, and I had practiced it for years, and I decided I'd take a yoga teacher training course, and I was the oldest person in class, of course, and the last one to learn to do a handstand. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just taking the teacher training. I had no expectation of what was going to come out of it. And the last day of class, I decided I wanted to teach. And it was a surprise to me, and I was completely surprised by it.
Wow. So your life took a total new direction.
The last 10 years has taken a complete different direction, wrote a memoir, and became a keynote speaker. In the last several years, I morphed into someone who talks about great health and mind-body connection.
So you have a different view of getting older than most people have. And I notice with boomers, of course, it's sort of like, it's almost like there's two directions. I see some of us taking the direction our parents took. And it's like, I've got to look like that because I'm 60 or, and other people go like, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think I'll go that route. So
I was very fortunate. I had a mother who showed me the way.
Oh, wow.
So that if you have a role model in front of you. My mother started teaching senior aerobics in her 70s.
Wow.
And did a DVD for the seniors. She's continued to build houses all the way through her 70s.
Wow.
And some years of the 80s. She went through her life seamlessly, following her passions. She sewed her own clothes until I think she could not, until she was 90. And by that time, she couldn't sew on black because she couldn't see it. But she was an incredible woman and a great role model. So I've been very fortunate to. She always said, "Do what you want to do, follow your passions, be authentic."
Wow.
So it was a very good experience for me.
That really helps. I had a grandmother who opened her business at the age of 65 and invented sportswear in this country and became sold out of California, selling to Bloomingdale's and Lord and Taylor back east, Saks Fifth Avenue at 65, and into her 90s was working for private clients. So
I feel the same way. I
Yeah.
feel that, especially with speaking, which I feel puts all my skills together and bundles them up, and then allows me to connect with audiences and talk. And see, for me, age is not chronology.
Mm-hmm.
Age is an attitude,
Mm-hmm.
and an attitude influences judgment and your behavior. So if you don't feel that you're old, you won't be old. And but it's also a question of maintaining good health. And of course, I'm passionate about yoga, so I feel that yoga and meditation is really important.
Too.
Yeah.
So in the book, is it about your journey, or are there tips in the book that will help people kind of do what you did or you're doing? Or?
It's about my journey, and it's a funny about my journey.
Mm-hmm.
I make fun of myself a lot. It's very self-deprecating because I love humor, and that's one of the things that gets me through life. Yes, I do have tips too. I mean, I have my chapter titles are pretty funny and pretty out there. And I talk about dating and internet dating.
So what about dating? Let's talk about that.
Because that's the sex part.
Right. So,
Yeah.
What do you think about intimacy, passion for people 60, 70?
A must.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that connecting to people, connecting to the opposite sex, if that's your preference, or same gender, sex, it doesn't matter. But it's extremely creative, a creative part of your journey. So that if you find a nice partner and it works for you and you don't get in each other's way, and yet you still connect on your journey, that's great. That's really terrific. And of course, I have a chapter title in here, which is very funny. It's called Men and Other Sociopaths I Have Met. And that's
You want to give us an example?
That's my internet dating journey.
What happened?
There are many examples in the book.
Give us your best one.
Oh, there's so many.
Scary? Scary? Or positive?
Peculiar.
Oh, okay, that's good.
The peculiar was a stockbroker meeting me at Starbucks, and at 7, and I thought it was for dinner, and then he told me he never ate a meal after 5 o'clock at night. And then the first thing he asked me was, "Did you lie on your profile?" And both of which were terrifying to me at the moment. And I said, I think I need to eat something. So he had to feed me, and then I had to answer the questions. But it was pretty funny at the end. Of course, we never saw each other again.
That was the only date, right? The first.
Oh yeah, it was the first and only one. I had some second and third dates. Mm-hmm. But nothing that stuck too much.
Did you meet anybody fabulous, or is it?
At the time, was fabulous, but then didn't work out.
But at least you were you were in the game, right? You were sort of
right. The most important thing is that I tested myself. I went out and I introduced myself, and I had conversations, and I met people. And I think one of the things about aging is you can't isolate. Because we have a tendency to isolate as we get older.
Yeah.
So that was like, yes, you have to go out and do that. And I'll go on blind dates. I'll still meet people and engage.
That's a big one, isn't it? Because I think that the tendency to get set in your ways and become more isolated is something that really you have to kind of, I don't know if I want to say fight, but don't fall into that. Maybe
it's a trap. It's a trap.
Huge trap. Isn't it?
I actually I'm very mindful every weekend of providing my activities. Now I dance tango every weekend, so I always have a Saturday night.
I see.
But I have to be mindful of socializing with people. Like last night, I had a little dinner party, and shopping, cooking, keeping up all those activities that you did throughout your whole life. You don't want to stop that.
So is that part of it? Like, in other words, you're keeping the sense of adventure, the sense of wonder. Is that the key?
Oh, yeah. And be curious. Be curious.
Yeah.
Meet people. I just came off from a cruise from Alaska where I was giving speeches and teaching yoga and meditation every day at what they call seminars at sea. And that was terrific because you meet so many people and you're out there, and there is a sense of adventure and a sense of wonderment. I have been to Argentina, Buenos Aires, 13 times to dance tango. And every time I go, I meet amazing people. And you put yourself out there on the dance floor, and it's scary and surprising and wonderful.
So, what would you say to people who have already started, let's say, down the other road where they are not doing what you're doing? How could they start to change their life? What would be something simple or easy they could do?
I have a list. Actually,
In the
that's a
book?
really good question. No, I have it in my speech.
Mm.
It's probably in the book, but in another
Just
format.
give us maybe one or two
Break a
things.
habit.
Mm.
Eliminate something superfluous from your life. Clean out stuff. Like the couple weeks ago, I had 6 bags of books I took to the library, and cried over each one I had to give away. I think that you have to be very mindful, and I think you have to set intentions. Like what are you going to do this weekend? And I ask myself that question. What's the Friday look like? What's the Saturday look like? What's the Sunday look like? How much time do you want to spend with people? How much time do you want to spend alone? I have 5 grandchildren. So I go away a lot. They're in 2 different cities. I have 2 adult sons. And so I have a very active family life also. So don't let your family go. It's very important.
Don't isolate yourself. Make an effort to see them or
Exactly. And I do activities with all of them. I go to their basketball games, I go to their soccer games, and I'm very much involved in my grandchildren's lives.
So start with something small. I like your change a habit. That can be a big project, actually, to change a small habit sometimes. Just
Right.
Right.
Yeah, actually, be mindful, be conscious. Don't lapse. Don't leave yourself inside.
Well, what about all the messages that we get from the media? Like, you watch television and all the commercials are for drugs that you may need or probably need or will need someday. And the messages, the negative messages that we get as we grow older, they kind of bombard us. How do you deal with that?
I don't believe in drugs, so I believe in yoga. I believe in a mind-body connection that has nothing to do with the drugs. But what's so funny is after they tell you about the drug, they give you a whole long list of reasons why you shouldn't.
Biggest side effect is death.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like looking at this going, really? I mean, I just think it's hilarious. And people who buy into it, you've got to find another way. Change your diet. Start cooking for yourself, stop eating processed foods, that kind of thing.
So the course you've charted for yourself, though, is highly original. It's unique. You're trusting your body. You're trusting your mind-body connection, right?
Absolutely.
So again, what would you say to people who just, not that, we have to pull them towards that, but a lot of people are unhappy with the way things are going as they get older. So any other tips, that will kind of get them into a better space?
Do easy things. Take a walk. The 2 things which they say, there's a list of preventing aging. 2 things which they tell you to do. One, of course, is crossword puzzles, but I can't do crossword puzzles, so I have to invent something else. I write, so that's my exercise, my mental exercise. But walking, stretching. Put on some music. Music is really a fabulous thing to have in your house.
Your spirits.
It makes you happy. Put on your favorite song. I put on Bonnie Raitt, and I'll just do some stretching, and it'll make me happy. So the other thing is check your negative thoughts every day. This is really, really important. We think more negative than positive. And also that negative thinking leads us to resistance. And resistance is the most toxic force on the planet.
Right.
So if we're finding ourselves resisting and we're mindful enough that we can spot it, pull it back, think of something positive, do something physical. It doesn't really, I always say the best things in life are free. Your ideas, imagination, your energy, optimism, opportunity, compassion, love.
We have to choose those, right?
Yeah.
We have to choose.
But we can choose everything. It's all free.
Right.
True. We don't have to pay for that. We don't have to pay for walking. We don't have to pay for stretching.
True.
Because we're worried about budgets and how much money we're going to have and if it's going to last, until we pass through to the next phase. But all this stuff is healthy and it makes you happy. Adrenaline, all the good neurotransmitters that
Right.
go through us.
And you've got some great stories about your days as a Bohemian, right?
I pretty much, I call myself a gypsy sometimes.
Yeah, a wandering Jewess.
Yeah, a wandering Jewess.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And so, do you have stories of? Did you hang out with Bohemians?
Well, when I started as a kid in San
beatniks?
Francisco, and in the Beatniks, down in at the times of the City Lights bookstores and Lawrence Ferlinghetti and
Haight-Ashbury.
all of that.
Yeah. So the book is full of stories.
I have stories, and I also have situations about adult children parenting me. My adult children love to parent me, and becoming a grandmother, which was very unusual. So their life stories, and people who read the book, they say, "Oh, Joan, I had the same thing happen to me, and I felt that same way."
Mm-hmm.
So it really translates into universal themes and universal issues.
Well, and you're just going to keep moving forward with the same energy, right? Because it's unlimited.
It's unlimited. I get my next speech is at UCLA Day of Wellness, because I teach at UCLA. I teach yoga and meditation there. So I'm going to do a keynote for them on their Day of Wellness, and we hope people come and take advantage of all the wonderful seminars.
I keep a file of older people, and I found a guy who was 106 driving around the country in an RV, and then I found a guy who was 107 doing the same thing.
Oh,
so
I think great.
We can continue for a while.
Right.
Thank you so much. How do people contact you?
I have a website, and it's my name, Joan Frances Moran. Frances is with an E. www.joanfrancesmoran. It gives you more information about me, and so if people want to contact me, please do.
That's the best way to do it. And the book's on Amazon, right?
The book's on Amazon. It's the red cover one, not the black cover one.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of self-publishing, this is a beautiful self-published book.
Turned out well, didn't it?
Turned out brilliantly, and
That's
if anybody
great.
wants to talk to me about it, I'll tell them.
Great. Okay, so thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it.